So, I am live then, and as you guys can see from the title of this live stream, I am going to talk big spoilers for The Last Jedi, Star Wars The Last Jedi, which came out just a couple of days ago. I've seen it 2 times, and I am going to talk about it because this movie is groundbreaking just overall because it's a new Star Wars movie. And second of all, it's a new Star Wars movie that goes against pretty much everything we know about Star Wars. And I am going to start off with that because, I'm going to start off with my first reactions after seeing it the first time. And I didn't know what to actually feel because a lot of shit happened in this movie and a lot of unexpected things and a lot of things that I didn't know where the future of the saga was going. And I was just after watching it, I really enjoyed it, but I was kind of hesitant to say anything too positive or too negative or say anything for that matter because I didn't really know what I felt about everything that happened. Because there were some things I really liked, there were some things I liked, and some things I disliked, but overall, it was really interesting because Rian Johnson's take on this Star Wars movie is something we've never seen before and something we've asked for, which is kind of disappointing because a lot of people are arguing about how this movie is bad because of those things, and those things are that he and Lucasfilm went against what we thought the movie would be, and they made something completely different. That's the main thing, and a lot of people dislike that, even though many Star Wars fans have wanted them to do something different. Which I'm very confused at the moment, why there's such a divider in between fans. But overall, the thing that we fans do a lot is that we overanalyze, we try to figure out everything. Snoke theories, what are the pork's purpose, who's raised parents, everything. We try to find out everything without even looking at the most obvious thing. For example, Snoke is a fucking nobody. He got killed. He got killed. And yeah, pretty much there. Every Snoke theory is total bullshit. They may explain his backstory because he has been around for a long while. We do know that from, I think there's some book or some interview told us that. But we know that he has been in the galaxy for a long time, but we don't know to what extent. But overall, he's fucking pointless. And I did not expect that because that may be the marketing, and mainly it's just fans. We wanted him to be important, so we thought he was important. They never told us that he was important. I rewatched The Force Awakens the other day, and they don't say anything about him. The only thing we actually get to know is that he turned Ben to the dark side. That's it. And even that we get a completely different explanation in this, that it was actually Luke. So that's the thing with The Last Jedi. It turns our expectations completely. And that is something I really enjoy, and it's probably the best thing about the movie overall. Because we fans do overanalyze, we try to figure out everything beforehand and all that shit, and they just proved us that our fan theories, all of that shit doesn't matter. Especially when it comes to Snoke, because Snoke has been something that has been talked about for 2 years, ever since he was first announced for The Force Awakens. Theories that he's Plagueis, theories that he's connected to Plagueis, theories that he's Palpatine, theories that what else? Theories that he's the fucking stormtrooper who knocks his head in episode 4. All kinds of stuff, and they just proved to us that that doesn't matter. He doesn't matter. He has served his purpose. He was there to help Kylo or Ben to be aggravation for him. Yeah, exactly. Snoke is nobody. He's no one. And I think that's so interesting, especially since we fans have done such a big deal with Snoke being something specific, and I just feel it's really interesting. I hope that they explain his backstory. That's like the only thing I do actually want with Snoke. I want to know what his deal is, but as of right now, he is not important for the new saga, new trilogy. He was just there to kind of motivate or aggravate Kylo into actually becoming something of his own. Because that was something really cool, which they did overall, was just the story of how Ben Solo actually turned to the dark side. It wasn't because of Snoke. Yeah, Snoke was in his head and was turning him to the dark side over time, but it was actually Luke who saw that darkness inside of him was going to fucking kill him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was basically that, and I love the fact that they did make that very clear that our fan theories and all of that shit doesn't matter, and they did that in a very obvious way without actually being too obvious about it, and I love that. But just the fact that Ben or that Luke was the actual reason why Ben turned so quickly, even though Luke actually regretted igniting his lightsaber and was about to kill him. He regretted that choice, but immediately when he did that, Ben woke up and saw him scared. And that's something, Ben has always been scared. That's something they've made very clearly. He's afraid, just overall, for the light, for the dark, not living up to his grandfather's reputation, everything like that. And I just think that's so interesting. That was something I posted on Instagram. Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, has actually joined my top 3 characters right now. So my previous 2/1 favorite character is Anakin and Darth Vader. But he has now joined the ranks of Darth Vader and Anakin for my favorite Star Wars characters. Just because of the duality in the character of Ben Solo, and I just love how they've handled him overall. And yeah, just the fact that he's so unsure, he doesn't know what exactly is going on, or and not exactly, but just the duality to him. Because that was something I comment on in, I think, my latest trailer reaction to one of the trailers. We saw him in his TIE fighter or whatever, his ship or whatever, and he was about to shoot down, or what we thought, we saw him about to shoot down the command bridge where Leia was. And I said in that trailer, if he actually kills Leia, he's not redeemable. They will not be able to redeem Kylo Ren to Ben Solo again. They won't. He can't be the cause of the murders for 2 of the Trinity characters. He can't. I can see the whole thing with Han Solo, because that was something he tried to prove himself to the Supreme Leader, and also he thought that he would gain stronger with the dark side, and this was explained in the novelization, but he thought that he was going to be stronger after murdering his father, but in fact it just had the completely opposite effect on him. He got more guilty, and just overall it wasn't what he expected. And that's something Snoke also points out about him being afraid, that he hides behind his mask. And that's something I really liked. Even though I love the design of his helmet, I actually enjoyed the fact that he trashed it. He destroyed it completely and decided to not hide behind the mask anymore. And that's really good because I think Adam Driver is a really good actor and he can really portray that element of the character, in my opinion. But just overall, that the fact that everything we know is not as it seems, and it's basically, I'm from now on, when I talk about The Last Jedi, I am going to actually quote Luke from The Last Jedi. This is not going to go the way you think. That's the perfect quote about this movie. This is not going to go as you think. And I don't know if they did that on purpose to have that in the trailers, to a bit of a foreshadowing, but this movie wasn't as I thought it would be. It was a lot more different than I thought it would be, and a lot better because of it. Because they did so many things that was unexpected to me. Uh, yeah, kinda actually. Yeah, he kinda looks like a kid sometimes in the costume, but overall, I think the costume design is really good. I do think he looks a lot cooler with the helmet on, so I can understand that point actually. But yes, overall, everything that happened. For example, the thing with this movie is, if anyone has something negative to say about it, my first comment is, what did you think would happen? And that's because our expectations were so big. For example, the biggest thing, the Force Awakens ended on a cliffhanger. Literally a cliffhanger. Luke was standing on a cliff and Rey was holding out the lightsaber. Our thoughts for 2 years have been, what will he say? What will he do? Because in our minds, this lightsaber is so important. It's been through many generations. It was first in the hands of Anakin Skywalker. It was used to destroy the Jedi Order, including different Sith, for example, Count Dooku, who used that to kill him. But it was also used to kill the Jedi Order. Yeah, that's true also. Um, but that lightsaber is so important in our eyes. It was used by Anakin, it was used to destroy the Jedi Order, it was used by Luke. In our eyes, it's so important. And that's why I think Luke's reaction to the lightsaber and what he did, just tossed it away, is so bloody perfect. Because in our eyes, it's so important. But to him, it's the lightsaber that reminds him of everything bad that has happened. The last time he fucking had it, he lost his hand. That's not directly something you want to remember. And that's something we fans sometimes forget, I guess. That we have expectation based on what we feel connected to. For example, the Millennium Falcon. We feel very positive when we see that. But people who are connected to it, for example, Kylo Ren, he has a bad connection to it because it reminds him of his father, which he didn't like, and stuff like that. In our eyes, we have one connection to something, but we sometimes forget the character's connection to that item or thing or whatever. In this case, Luke's connection to that lightsaber is completely bad because he turned away from the Force, he turned away from everything connected to that. And I just felt that was so perfect, just how he reacted, because no one expected him to just toss it away. This is a legacy lightsaber. Yeah, exactly, and that the whole nostalgia criticism thing really started with The Force Awakens, because a lot of people thought that The Force Awakens was exactly or very similar to A New Hope and some similarities to episode 5 and 6. And I completely understand that, but the whole thing with The Force Awakens was to bring back the old fans and bring in the new fans. That was the whole point, and in my opinion, it succeeded more than it failed. But this movie really points that out and really lets us feel the fact that Disney knows what they are doing. They know exactly what they are doing, and they know the fans as well. And the whole thing with this movie is just the fact that it was unexpected. It had a lot of unexpected turns, and for example, one thing I really thought, because they was really hammering down on it in the promotion, in the trailers, was the fact that the Jedi need to end. Luke literally said that. My thoughts was, and a lot of others was, that there would be something else. There would be some type of combination of the light and the dark, because we've seen some characters being introduced like the Bendu in Star Wars Rebels, who are in between the light and the dark, and we know that the Jedi prophecy is a failed concept to begin with, because the way Luke actually won in episode 6 was to turn to the personal side of Anakin and turn to someone he loves, and that's his father. And that was something that was completely forbidden. You are not supposed to have attachments when you are a Jedi. And that was the whole thing that saved the galaxy in episode 6. So both sides have conflicting ideas, but together there might be something in between. In Legends it's called Grey Jedi, that's not really canon anymore, but I thought that they were going to go among those lines, but as I said, fans expect or predictions aren't the thing, and I am so happy that they actually turned away from that and really proved. There was one thing I really thought was fitting. It was conversation. It was connected to both the light and dark type of aspect. It was a conversation in between Finn and DJ, Benicio del Toro's character, and it was something among the lines. They were looking through the ship they stole and were looking who the previous owner was, and he was apparently an arms dealer or ship stealer or whatever. And they started scrolling through and saw different TIE fighters, ATSTs, and Finn started to point out that they are the bad guy, we are the good guys. Then we see in one of the holograms, X-Wing. There are no good guys, there are no bad guys in wartime. There are none. And I just love the quote that he said, DJ also said, oh yeah, Rian Johnson's trilogy is going to be amazing. I'm going to talk a bit more about that later on, but yes, I am so excited to see what he does just overall. But he said something about live free, don't join. And that is so perfect, and it's so true. The only way to live free in the Star Wars galaxy is to not join any other side. For example, one character that immediately comes to mind was Han Solo before everything. He wasn't, or yeah, he did join the Republic and stuff like that, but overall, he was a smuggler. He didn't, before everything, he was a smuggler firsthand, and I'm really interested to see what they actually do with the Han Solo movie to kind of explain something more about him, but that's one of the characters I immediately think about when it comes to something like that. But overall, I just thought that element was so true, and especially when he's talking to Finn, a person who turned from the First Order to the Resistance. And I thought they would do a bit more with the whole leaving the resistant aspect, but sadly they didn't. But going to go over, I actually need to get up my iPad because I do have some bullet points so I don't forget to bring up anything. But just overall, I really, really, really enjoyed the movie, especially a second time around. Um, let's, let's see. Yeah, here. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Turning our expectation completely on their head. For example, Snoke, I've already talked about Luke, especially because we know Luke as us optimistic Jedi go-getter and all that stuff, but he wasn't that. He wanted the Jedi to end. He went to Octu to die. And that's one aspect I'm really confused by. Why leave a map to a place you're going to just to wait there to die? I was a bit confused by that aspect, but don't really care that much because I really enjoyed everything they did on Arc 2. And just another thing they turned on. Yeah, the casino scene. I will go into that soon, but overall, I thought the whole casino thing was kind of pointless. I really liked the aesthetic and how it looked and everything like that, but to the plot, it was kind of useless. I will go into that more later, but um, one really interesting thing that happened was new force abilities. So force sensitive people can apparently live or survive in space because we do see what a lot of people are calling flying Leia, which I thought it looked a bit weird the first time I saw it, but a second time I was expecting it and I didn't see it as bad as the first time. But that's really interesting. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that aspect. Um, Physical force projection, which was really cool, and also the fact that they did that through vast space. We do have conversations in between Kylo Ren and Rey on Octu, and those were just mainly conversations until we actually see Rey talking to him whilst it. Uh, yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, while it's raining on Octu, and she's talking to Kylo through the Force, and afterwards he wipes his face and he has water on him. So that was the first clear fact that there's something physically there. They are kind of at the same place. I don't really know how to explain it in a good way, but I thought that was really interesting. And later on, we see them at the fire and holding hands, where Luke steps in and just stops them immediately. And I'm curious. One thing that started coming up in my mind was, can Jedi or Force sensitive people teleport? Would they be able to teleport themselves completely, physically? Or will it just be a force projection like Luke had in the end of the movie? That was just an idea I got while watching the movie. I'm really curious if that's something they would be able to do, because that would be fucking awesome. But it would also be kind of a cheap trick, because then they could escape very bad situations. So I'm it would be cool, but I wouldn't like them to actually do anything with it. Um, yeah, just all of the force communication between Kylo Ren and Rey, I thought was just brilliant. And let's see here. Yeah, I've talked about Luke being the one who betrayed Ben. Luke's view on the Jedi Order. I love the fact that we do get some mentions from the prequels, because that's something they try to stay away from, and I love the fact that they literally say Sidious. They mention him right away. And one thing I really liked was this movie has the best explanation of the Force we've ever gotten, at least in my opinion. I do like Obi-Wan's explanation about the Force, but this one is completely the best. And Luke just tells Rey, reach out, feel everything around you, da 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 da. What's in between? And yeah, just that scene is just so perfect. And his comment afterwards, that's not a power the Jedi deserve. It's not a power they are exclusively to own. It would be um, selfish or something if they would say it's only for them, and that's why the Jedi need to end. And I just thought that comment was so brilliantly, and just when he mentioned Sidious and all of that, the Jedi Order gave way for Sidious to rise to power, then taking one of the most powerful Jedi to join him, destroying the complete Jedi Order later on for his son to come and save the situation, but in the end, him just becoming legend. And that's the thing that he pointed out to Rey. I'm a legend. People know me by what I've done and not who I am. And that's something I thought was really interesting because a lot of people, especially when it comes to fictional things like this, base characters' decisions on what they've done and not who they are. For example, a lot of people thought it was weird that Luke just tossed the lightsaber because we have an expectation of what he will do based on the knowledge we have. But for example, we've missed 30 years of his life. What has happened in between that time? And just as I mentioned before, think what that lightsaber means to him. We know what it means to us. It's a legacy lightsaber. That's to us, at least. But to him, it was previously owned by his father. It was later on passed on to him. Before that, it was used to destroy the Jedi Order. The last time he actually saw it, he got his hand cut off, as I said before. So that's completely understandable. Luke's view on the Jedi Order and just Jedi overall and the Force was one of the best aspects of this movie. And I can't say anything else positive about that. Luke and Rey's bond I thought was really interesting, and it was similar to kind of Luke and Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. Luke being the one seeking help, Yoda being the one who wasn't not sure how to teach him and stuff like that. Here it was similar, but except for Luke really had his reasons why he didn't want to teach her. So he decided to give her 3 lessons. We only saw 2, but 3 lessons in total. These 3 lessons are the ways of the Jedi and the reasons why the Jedi needs to end. And I just thought that was perfect. I'm curious what the 3rd lesson was. But I think that will be in a deleted scene. But really hoping that we actually see that. And I'm hoping that it's not too important, because often with deleted scenes, they aren't really canon, so I hope it's good but not super important that it needed to be in the movie. And since it's not in the movie, I don't think it was that important compared with the lesson about reaching out and the whole point with the Jedi Order. I thought those points were more important than what could have been the 3rd lessons, I think. Finn and Rose meeting was brilliant in my opinion. Seeing Rose being sad over the passing of her sister, which that scene I thought was really powerful and cool. Just the way how Paige, I think her name is, just the whole bombing sequence was really good. I really liked it, and it gave some emotional attachment to Rose as a character, because we know what happened to her sister, basically. I really liked the fact that she had actually stunned a lot of people trying to jump ship and escape, and Finn being one of them. And that's something I thought was really cool, because he actually learned a lesson throughout the movie that it's not. It's important to not escape important cause. Even though it's a lost cause, it's an important cause nonetheless. And I thought that he really learned that. The only exception was I wish that Rose actually remembered her fucking point in the beginning of the movie. She regretted, or she didn't want people leaving the whole thing, because it's not about fighting. Um, I was going to use a quote from Star Wars Rebels. It's not about how good we fight, it's about what we fight for, or something like that. It's not a matter of how we fight, it's a matter of something. I can't remember the quote, holy crap. But her point was basically to not run away, to do what's right, even though it may not be the best thing, basically. I will go on to that later on, because I have a point with that later on in the movie. But overall, I really liked how they met each other. That was really good. Ben and Rey's connection through the Force was brilliantly. That was the second favorite thing in the whole fucking movie. Luke and Rey and Ben and Rey was the best two things, and I am trying to say Ben more often to Kylo, because I think that he can be redeemed. Since he didn't kill Leia, I think he can be redeemed, and also because he didn't kill, or because he killed Snoke, he can be redeemed, I think. So I'm really hoping for that. If not, he is a really cool dark side Force user. Canto Bight was fucking pointless in my opinion. It looked cool, the city was cool. It was basically a place to put in some political commentary on our situation on Earth. That war is profitable but really, really bad. That animal abuse is really, really bad, and slavery is really bad, because there was slave kids working there. Those were like the three main points. They went to Canto Bight to show that, and they were also looking for a codebreaker, which they didn't really need, because they found a DJ instead, which didn't really help them in the end. He betrayed them, and when they used him, they didn't succeed on the mission at all either. So Canto Bight was basically, oh, look at this cool shit while we put in some political commentary, basically. I had no problem with the commentary, political commentary with the slavery, animal abuse, because I do think those things are important, but in a movie, there's one thing that's even more important, and that's the plot. That didn't serve the plot at all. We do get some cool cameos in that Canto Bight scene. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt was there, and another actor, the one with the flower, the bloom. I can't. Justin Theroux, I think, and also Mark Hamill voiced one of the like aliens there. I think it was the small one putting coins into BB-8, which I thought that was funny. Like the best thing I can think about the whole Canto Bight thing is the introduction of DJ. I thought that Benicio del Toro was really cool in that role. and I thought it was an interesting character. I would have liked them to done anything else with him because they kind of misused him, and he's not the only character that was underused in this movie. There's a lot of them, and I will go into that later on. Yeah, but I thought they could have used him better, just overall. But I thought what they did, and especially the conversation between him and Finn about live free, don't join. I thought that was brilliant, and him showing the holograms of TIE fighters and then an X-wing. I thought that was really cool, really showing the duality that there is no wrong or good side when you're a bystander. There are the obvious good and bad guys. We have the Republic and we have the First Order. The First Order is clearly bad, but the bystanders, there are no good or bad side because they are on both sides. The only way to be that rich, as they said in the movie, is to profit from war, and that's one of the least, or that's one of the most bad things someone can actually do, to profiteer from fucking war. That's insane. But yeah, Canto Bight I thought was pointless because it didn't bring anything to the story. It didn't really help them with the issue they were facing. They needed a code breaker to get on board the Supremacy, Snoke's ship. That didn't work out. They needed the code breaker to decode the whole thing, and that didn't turn out as they thought. So the whole aspect of that was pointless. They could have basically just said that, oh, you Finn met Rose, and oh, Rose knows how to do this. Da 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 da. Moving on to them actually going on board Supremacy. Doing something like that, or having someone from the Resistance helping them instead. But overall, DJ was a really interesting character. I do want to see more of him. Snoke, I've already talked about Snoke being utterly pointless, and I'm actually happy about that because I'm one of those people who didn't want him to be anyone. I wanted him to be Snoke. I didn't want him to be Plagueis. I didn't want him to be a fucking stormtrooper who knocked his head in episode 4. I didn't want him to be Mace Windu or any other character. I wanted him to be Snoke. This is actually a bit of a fun joke I created. This is a joke I had with Tifon girl Patricia. If you don't know who she is, look her up on Instagram. I will put a link after the whole video, live video is done. But just Tifon girl on Instagram, and you can watch our videos we've done together here on my YouTube channel. But nonetheless, the main joke was basically that a lot of porgs was masquerading as Snoke. There was 20 porgs inside of a robe with a Snoke mask, basically. That was my joke. And I was kind of hoping that it was true when he got sliced in half, that we just saw a lot of porgs falling out. That would have been fucking hilarious. And if I was good at anything like video editing, Photoshop and that shit, I would completely do that when the movie comes out on Blu-ray and DVD, but sadly I'm not amazing like that. So if anyone is and would love to take that idea, go ahead. I just thought that was really funny, and that would also fit the theme of turning our expectation, because the whole point I did for that theory was that Lucasfilm have made such a big point that the porgs are cute, you will really like them. And there was one quote from, I can't remember exactly who it was, but I think it's one of the executive producers who also worked on Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars The Clone Wars, who said something about the porks having soulful eyes, and just the way he worded that sounded very ominous. And that was the starting point. Then we saw Shui not being or we heard from interviews that Shui didn't completely get along with the porgs, so that added to my theory. And then it was a photo released where the porgs was like around R2D2, and I continue just joking, saying that oh look, they are trying to hack into R2D2, and the fact that they were on Octu, we have this Snoke who is consisted by 20 or 30 porgs in the robe and stuff like that, but then we do also have a lot of porgs on Octu spying on Luke Skywalker. That was basically my theory, and it was basically fuck you to all of the Snoke theories out there, because I think a lot of them are just fucking stupid, and the movie fucking points that out as well, because they slice him in half. And funny enough, one thing I didn't notice the first time, that Snoke actually loses a hand separately, because the lightsaber cuts through his stomach, and then it cuts through like this through his stomach, and when Kylo tries to take the lightsaber and Rey's catches it, he just pulls it forward, which also cuts off his hand afterwards. So he is actually one of the Star Wars characters who also loses a hand. So he will join that list of losing hand characters. But yeah, overall, I just think it's so great that Disney actually proved that, yeah, you know your Snoke theory? The theory you spent a lot of time talking about? Yeah, fuck you. It doesn't prove anything, and you were completely wrong. And I just thought that was really hilarious in my point, because I've thought ever since the beginning that all of the Snoke theories are fucking stupid. Yay, yeah, he could have been Plagueis, but he's clearly not. So I'm just really happy about that. Ben and Rey fighting Snoke's Praetorian guards equals perfection times 100 or 1,000, 10 million. That was fucking amazing. And this movie is the second Star Wars movie to not feature a lightsaber on lightsaber fight. Rogue One was the first one, The Lost Jedi is the second one, because we never see lightsaber fighting each other. We see two lightsaber fighters fighting the Praetorian guards, and that was just so amazing. And I really liked seeing Kylo and Rey fighting somewhat together, even though at the end they aren't on the same side. And also the legacy lightsaber, Anakin / Luke's lightsaber, gets destroyed. But just that fight was so cool, and ever since the design for the Praetorian Guards was released, I was hoping they would do something like this. It's so awesome to have guards like that fight for real. They look like samurais, they know how to fight, and I just thought it was brilliant. The only thing I'm hoping for now is that the Lego comes out with like a battle pack with all of them, so I can recreate that scene, because that was, in my opinion, the best scene of the whole movie. And I just loved how it opened with them igniting the lightsabers in slow motion and fighting back to back. I just thought that was brilliant and amazing. Second point is Praetorian Guards are amazing. I can't stress that enough. They look amazing, and their fight choreography was brilliant. And I just love some ways how they defeated specific Praetorian Guards. For example, Rey was locked in place with her lightsaber and her arm, so she just let go of the lightsaber, catches it in the other, and slices off the head. And when one of the Praetorian guards are choking Kylo, Rey throws Luke's lightsaber. He catches it and just ignites it right in his face. I just thought that was brilliant, and I can't stress that enough. And that scene just puts a smile on my face because I really liked seeing them fighting back to back like that. So after that scene, we do get something that's a lot of people have talked about, which is Rey's heritage, Rey's parents. A lot of people don't trust what Ben actually told her. I am one of those who actually think he's telling the truth. That it could turn out that he isn't, just to turn her, but nonetheless, I think that he's actually telling the truth, and I'm really hoping so as well. Because I had 3 points when it came to, or technically 4 points, but when it comes to Rey's heritage. She's either Luke or Luke's daughter, Leia and Han's daughter, no one or nobody specific, or Obi-Wan's granddaughter. Those were the 4 theories I had. Now I'm so happy that she's not related to someone, if this is true, because this was just what Kylo told her. I am so happy that she isn't related to someone. She doesn't need to be fucking special. She doesn't need to be a part of a bigger heritage, because that's one of the downsides that would continue if they went down that road, is the whole fact that this is a galaxy far away, or this is galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far away, but everyone is fucking related to each other, and that annoys me so much. And I hope that Kylo is, or Ben Solo is, the last Skywalker in existence. There's 2 Skywalkers left, except if Luke has some child out there. I don't know. I hope not. There's 2 Skywalkers left. It's Leia and Ben. Those 2. We know that Carrie Fisher sadly passed away, and that probably means that Leia will as well pass away in episode 9, or in the scrolling text or opening crawl for episode 9. Sadly, they had to, or they will have to go down that road, but nonetheless, everything that Carrie Fisher have done for the saga thus far has been amazing, and just her as a person. I'm looking right now at my Force Awakens poster with her on it, and everything she did to the Star Wars universe. I will go more into Leia after just talking about Rey's heritage. But yeah, that was the 4 points I had about her parents, and I'm so happy that she isn't related to anyone, that she is her own character, similarly to Anakin. He was born from nothing. He didn't have a father, and that's it. We don't need an explanation for that. It's a very religious simile, of course. It's a very clear simile. There's no way of mistaking that for anything else. The whole Jedi, even Dave pointed that out, that Jedi is a religion, and just overall, Anakin is basically Jesus. He's the space Jesus, and yeah, I'm just happy that Rey is someone of herself. She isn't related to anyone significant. She is her own character, which makes her special. She doesn't need someone else to make her special, and I like that, because that would also make the universe smaller. If we keep going after the same family in a galaxy that's enormous, it's a fucking galaxy. We don't need everyone to be related. We need some type of emotional connection to them, and the simplest way to have an emotional connection to them is to have them being related, but it's not the only way. That's the thing. And I'm really happy that Rey's aren't anyone significant, and they are also dead and buried on a graveyard in Jakku because they sold her for drinking money. And I just thought that was brilliant, and that also proves the only people have said that Rey's parents are significant are we, the fans. We wanted them to be significant. We wanted them to be Luke. We wanted them to be Luke or Han and Leia. We wanted them to be the granddaughter or of Obi-Wan and all of that stuff. We wanted her to be some related to someone significant. But for example, the quote from Force Awakens that keeps going in my mind when it comes to race heritage is, "The belonging you seek is not behind you; it's ahead." And that's bloody perfect. That's all we need to know, and it's basically all we had to go on. The belonging you seek is not behind you; it's ahead, which is completely true. She will be the new Lost Jedi. She will probably be training new Jedi's. I hope that she reads through all of the sacred Jedi texts and see that the Jedi Order isn't something they can have and they will have to combine, because she has been exposed to the dark side. She knows a bit about it. She can be the one who puts the two together, and I really hope that they do that. Um, here. Ben asking Rey to join him. Let go. Let the past die. Luke, Snoke, the Jedi, the Sith, everything. I thought this was really cool because that was something that was hinted but reversed. We thought, based on the latest trailer, that Rey was seeking help from Kylo, but it was reversed. Kylo wanted Rey to turn to him, and I thought that was brilliant. And I love the fact that she just said, "Don't do this, Ben. Don't do this," because it is a very similar thing to when Darth Vader asked Luke to join the dark side, and we will rule the galaxy as father and son, and da 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 da. This was very similar, but I loved Rey's answer. "Don't do this, Ben. Don't do this." And I thought that was perfect, and then them reaching for Luke's lightsaber and it being destroyed afterwards was brilliant as well. Yeah, I am curious what she will be doing for her own lightsaber. A lot of fans think that she will have a um, double-lighted lightsaber, which would be cool because she is skilled with a staff weapon, so that would be cool and kind of fitting. But continuing on with the whole thing that fan speculation doesn't prove a fucking thing, I really hope that they just stick to a normal lightsaber, a new design if anything. I think it's interesting, even though they knew that the lightsaber would get destroyed, that they renamed it into Rey's lightsaber, because it was previous Anakin / Luke's lightsaber. Because now with merchandising, it's called Rey's lightsaber, so she might just fix it, I guess. I don't know. But just the fact that everything, and Kylo is on the same side of this, I think, as well, but a bit more to the darker side. The Jedi and the Sith needs to end. Let the past die. That includes Jedi and the Sith. He wants both of them to die. Both of those philosophies to die, and I hope that they do something like that, because both of them are flawed. They pointed out the hybris and just the hypocrisy of the Jedi Order, and the Jedi Order is the main reason why Darth Sidious even gained power to begin with, and I just thought that discussion was completely and amazing in my opinion. So I'm really curious where they take that whole thing with Ben and Rey. let's talk about some characters that was underused. Holy shit. Um, First of all, starting with the most important one and the most disappointing one, um, a bit of a backstory first. In the Force Awakens, we get introduced to a character called Captain Phasma, high-ranking captain for the First Order, and she got underused in that movie. We fans got promised, or not directly, but kind of promised a bigger story for her in episode 8, with both her fighting off with Finn, which was really cool. She actually calling him a traitor. I thought that was cool. Uh, but beforehand, they actually released a comic book series for Phasma explaining how she escaped Starkiller Base and just overall explained some stuff about her character. Then they also released a book called Captain Phasma, or Phasma, I think, yes. Also explaining her backstory and stuff like that, and making her seem more appealing and fucking badass, to say anything. And that kind of told us, oh, she is important. She is a character who mainly has no one except herself in focus. If the First Order is in jeopardy and she needs to escape, she will go out of there in a blaze of glory, leaving them behind. She cares about herself first and first. I can't talk. The only thing she cares about is herself, and I thought that was really cool. Character elements of her, and they could have done something interesting that the First Order was really going in a bad direction and stuff like that, and she realized, okay, I can't do this no more, I will jump ship over to the rebellion. Something like that would have been interesting. Except for that, she gets knocked out by Finn. We do see a cool visual with her mask being destroyed right over the eye, which reminded me of Star Wars Rebels when Ahsoka damaged Darth Vader's mask. I thought that was kind of a cool simile. Uh, but then she just sits there, calls Finn scum. He answers, rebel scum. And she fucking falls down in a pit of fire. That's Captain Phasma for you. A fucking badass, which didn't do anything in the previous movie or this movie. That annoyed me so much because she was such a cool character. I fucking bought a die-cast figure from the Disney store before even knowing who she was, just because she was a cool-ass character. Just based on the looks, and now when we know more of her, she's even cooler. But they didn't really do anything with her. And I guess the same saying goes here as well. Oh, but we fans wanted her to be cool, so they just turned our expectations. I would say kind of. Captain Phasma is a different story because they have actually explained her backstory and made her cool. She is an interesting character and they just misused her in 2 movies. And I think that's really disappointing. One aspect you can comment on is the fact that her armor deflects blaster bolts, which you can then say it might deflect fire, so she might still live. She did survive Starkiller Base destruction, so who knows? She could appear again. I doubt that because I would rather see more with Kylo Ren and Rey than seeing her get mistreated again. So if she's dead, I'm happy about it. If she's not dead, I'm happy about it. That's pretty much it. Um, I did comment on Princess Leia earlier, but I thought, because that was one of the things I was very hesitant about going in. How are they going to handle um, Princess Leia and just Carrie Fisher's passing in real life, and yeah, uh, I thought it was really interesting that uh, when the bridge got destroyed, I thought, holy shit, they did it like that. Had they planned to kill Leia since the start? Or is this something they did afterwards? If they did this after she died, that's fucking cowardly. They should have done something more special. They should have done something heroic for her. Something, I don't know. But then we find out that she actually pulls her back into the ship with the Force and stuff like that. It was cool to see Leia actually use the Force because we haven't seen her use the Force before. We did know that she was Force sensitive, but actually seeing her use the Force was really cool. Um, yeah, but I got very confused at the beginning if that was how it was supposed to end for her, but apparently not. Um, but um, going on to other characters that was misused was Vice Admiral Holdo. She was on, or I should take them in order. So the main reason why I brought up Leia was because of the bridge destruction. I wouldn't have noticed this if they hadn't said it. After the bridge got destroyed and they rescued Leia, we saw one of the officers, I think, mentioning what Leia would do. Da, 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 da. She also mentioned that Admiral Akbar died. And this is also connected to because now sadly I can't remember the actor's name, but the actor who played slash voiced Admiral Akbar also passed away, and this is also connected to that. But I just thought, why do it in that way? I wouldn't have noticed that Akbar died. I would have just noticed, oh, where's Akbar, or something like that. But killing him kind of off screen. I'm sure that we saw him fly out of the bridge or something, or we did see him in the bridge, so technically we know he died, but just hearing it like that I thought was really bad because he has been a character since he was there from the beginning, and I just feel that's really sad because Admiral Akbar was a cool character, even though I don't really know that much about him. Uh, it was just a cool character overall. So I thought that was disappointing. Moving on now to Admiral Holdo, or Vice Admiral Holdo. It's really weird to kill off a completely new character that we haven't gotten to know beforehand, and I thought that was really weird with her because we didn't get that good of a connection with her. I know that she was mentioned in like one of the new Leia books that got released, but we don't really get to know much about her there either. She has some weird um, ways of handling situations, and she didn't really see eye to eye with Leia. That's pretty much it. But except for that, I just thought it was really weird how they killed off a completely new character like that. I did like the whole suicide um, hyperspace through the supremacy. I thought that was cool, but they could have used that for another character. They could have used, for example, Leia, but they apparently had big plans for her in 9. Sadly, that won't come true now. But they could have used Admiral Akbar, they could have used Leia, they could have used an original trilogy character to make it more impactful. It became impactful for what she did, but not because who she was. Because we had nothing to go off. Um, Other characters that was underused. Trying to think. Um, One character I thought was underused in The Force Awakens, which was actually used really well in The Last Jedi, was Poe. Poe was originally planned to die in The Force Awakens with the TIE fighter crash and stuff like that, but they later on added him in the third act, and I thought that was a really good decision because I really like him as a character, and especially in this movie, he has a really good storyline in this movie, and also turning our expectations completely. We're in movies, we're often going to decide with like the hothead because he knows what's right, he knows what's wrong, and in the end everyone apologizes for him for not believing him in the first place and stuff like that. I thought that they were going that route with Poe in The Lost Jedi, but then they turned on it, and no, he was completely wrong. He was wrong with being a hothead. It's better to back down from a fight if you have an opportunity to win later on than push through if you have a chance of winning. And I thought that was really interesting and really cool overall because, as I said, a lot of movies have hothead characters which just do as they want, and then all of the other characters apologizes because they were wrong. Yeah, but in this case it was the opposite, and I thought that was really interesting. The only thing kind of bugs me is the fact, why didn't the Vice Admiral Holdo mention the fucking plan to him? They could have just told him, no, this is our plan, we're going to do it like this. And he would just say, okay, okay, Finn, Rose, yeah, you can come back, we have a plan. I know we wouldn't have a fucking story then, but it would have made his problem less harder, and people wouldn't probably have died then. Because if Rose and Finn could come back, they wouldn't need DJ to come to the supremacy, and DJ wouldn't have betrayed them and said that they were taking some shuttles to Crate and stuff like that. So there's some mixing and matching that would be needed for the movie, and in my opinion, every movie needs that sometimes. So, and that's nothing that really breaks the movie for me. It's just some things that bugs me, but as long as the positive outweighs the negative, I'm all fine about that. Nothing to be upset about, and I can't really see. I tried to look up as many reviews as possible for The Last Jedi, and a lot of people are happy about the movie. It was unexpected for them how things turned out, but overall, they liked it. And then there are some people who really, really hate it, apparently. So, I am just really curious. I've heard some arguments why, but even though they say themselves that, yeah, the positive overweighs the negative, but even then they talk very negative about it. So I'm just a bit confused when it comes to that point, but except for that, the movie is really enjoyable in my opinion. It gave me something I've wanted Star Wars to do for a while, which is something I didn't expect. The Force Awakens, even though I love The Force Awakens with my heart completely, and that will never end, because The Force Awakens was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters for the first time. That will never change. The Force Awakens will be special to me no matter what, and I will be biased towards it. And it's right now scored on 4th place of my favorite Star Wars movie. It's episode 5, 4, 6, 7. The Last Jedi probably comes after episode 7. Overall, I enjoy The Last Jedi more than The Force Awakens, but considering the emotional attachment I have to The Force Awakens and also the the fact that we wouldn't have The Last Jedi without The Force Awakens. That's the reason why it's on a number fifth place, or fifth place, if anything. Um, but yes, overall, I have planned to see the movie at least 3 more times. So I've seen it just as many times I've seen Force Awakens in theaters. But overall, that was, yes, some of my points I had with the movie overall, and yes, what I thought about it. So if you didn't have the ability to watch live, please tell me in the comments what you thought about the movie, and yeah, we can have a discussion in the comments then. This is completely spoiler filled, so go ahead, say anything you want about the movie. This will be the place to talk Star Wars The Last Jedi spoilers. Um, the most accepted place, at least. So, please rate, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you guys in another video. Thank you for watching.